Caught my girlfriend's engaged older sister making out with a stranger at work. Now she's panicking and my girlfriend's demanding answers. I work at a coffee shop, and yesterday turned out to be a lot wilder than I ever expected. The shop was swamped, people everywhere, the line never ending, and my coworkers and I barely keeping up with the pace. In the middle of all the chaos, my coworker nudged me and half whispered, half laughed, "Look at those two. They need a room. This is a coffee shop, not a hotel." I glanced over to where they pointed, more out of curiosity than anything. My heart nearly stopped. Immediately, I recognized her, my girlfriend's sister, Anna, and she was practically glued to this guy I'd never seen before. They were making out, totally wrapped up in each other, hands everywhere, oblivious to everything around them. And she's supposed to get married in July. Not to this guy, but to someone else entirely. They didn't see me. For a moment, I panicked and just kept my head down, tossing shots and steaming milk, doing my best to act like nothing was off. There was no way in hell I wanted to get involved with this. I just tried to keep my distance and hope they would finish whatever they were doing and just leave. Finally, they left. My shoulders loosened a bit and I figured the coast was clear. I grabbed a rag and some cleaner to wipe down the now vacant table, just doing my job, trying to steady my nerves. As I bent down to pick up a dropped napkin, the bell over the door rang again. I didn't even have time to look up properly before I heard her voice, tight and urgent, behind me. Apparently, she came back and forced something. Maybe she forgot her phone, maybe she needed the restroom, I'm not sure. But the second our eyes met, I could see the panic and realization dawn on her. She cornered me near the condiment counter, voice trembling as she begged me to tell her what I saw. She was clearly freaked out. I tried to play it cool and said, I didn't see anything, but somehow she could tell I was lying. She kept drilling me with questions, desperate and anxious. Eventually she left, but not before telling me this wasn't over and that we had to talk. I made it home, blood still pounding in my ears, when my phone started blowing up. My girlfriend texted me out of nowhere, "What's going on with you and my sister?" My heart raced. I had no idea what her sister might have told her, so I just played dumb and texted back that I honestly didn't know. But then my girlfriend kept texting, saying her sister was upset, that I should come over and talk. She seemed more and more insistent, saying she'd come get me or drive over to mine if I snuck out. Here's the thing, I'm not even allowed to leave the house at this time, not trying to sound like a little kid, but my parents are strict about it. There's no way for me to get out without them noticing, and I told my girlfriend as much. She's still pleading with me to try, but I'm honestly just freaking out. Now I'm stuck here, stressed out about what's going to happen next and what I'm supposed to do. I have no clue what to say or what move I should make next. All I know is I'd give anything to simply not looked up from the espresso machine when my coworker nudged me. He told me not to worry if the guy showed up, he'd handle it. And sure enough, that guy walked into the coffee shop and asked for me. My supervisor stepped in and kicked him out right away. They had a huge, heated argument right there outside the shop, but thankfully the guy never came back after that. I was more relieved than I could say. Not long after all that, my girlfriend broke up with me. Just like that. So I told myself it was time to knuckle down and focus on finishing out the school year strong. I know there are other girls I could potentially date, but losing my girlfriend the way I did hurt more than I expected. Weirdly, I'm still Facebook friends with the guy who got cheated on. I've always liked him, he was always cool to me. But honestly, I don't know if he'd ever believe my side of what happened. My ex-girlfriend keeps texting me all the time, but as much as I want to sometimes, I barely ever reply. I still don't really understand how I ended up being the one to lose my relationship over someone else's cheating. This morning, when I got to work, I talked to my supervisor about everything again. He had seen the cheating happen, too. I told him I'm actually kind of friends with a guy who got cheated on. He suggested I call him up, invite him in for some coffee on the house, and then we could talk in my supervisor's office. He said once the three of us are there, I can lay out everything I know, and he and the other girls who saw it happen can all back up my story. So now I'm going to try messaging him on Facebook and see if he responds. If he does, there's no doubt things are going to get wild. Update 2. I messaged the guy who got cheated on. His first initial is S, so let's just call him Sam. After he sent me a message back with his number, I gave him a call. The first thing he said was that he'd heard I'd started a nasty rumor about his fiancée. I quickly told him that the rumor wasn't actually about her, it was about him and that it was all true. I explained everything, but made it clear he could come to the coffee shop and see everything for himself. Sam showed up on Wednesday afternoon. My boss came over and talked to him too, and we let him know that the girls who work with us had seen it as well. Sam believed us, but wanted to see the proof, So he planned to come back on Sunday since the video system only holds the last 30 days and my boss promised to show him. Sam looked a little angry, but not surprised. He told me he thought he knew exactly who the other guy was. That's when everything exploded. Sam ended things with his fiancée he no more wedding. Not long after, I got a text from my ex saying she hopes I'm happy now that her sister's life is ruined. I did feel bad, but I knew what I had to do. Just last night, while I was working, my ex's dad storms into the coffee shop. He marched right over, pointed a finger at me in front of everyone and said, "You, let's go outside, we're gonna talk." He said it so loudly, that every customer turned to stare. I froze for a second, and he pressed again, "Outside, right now, let's go." I told him I needed to clock out first and went straight to my boss's office, letting him know my ex's dad was demanding I go outside. My boss didn't take long to act. He walked right over and confronted him. "Hey, excuse me, can I help you?" My ex's dad snapped back that it wasn't his business and insisted on talking to me outside, carrying himself like he owned the place. But my boss was having none of it. "Well, this is my place. You either buy coffee or get the hell out. And don't come in here harassing my employees like you own the place. And by the way, I'm the one who talked to Sam and told him what your daughter did. So you and I need to go outside and talk." The two of them marched outside while the entire shop stared at me, bewildered. One customer even asked what I had done to make that man so mad at me. From what I could see through the window, it looked more like a shouting match than a calm conversation. After about 10 minutes, my ex's dad drove off. My boss returned and told me everything was fine now. But things didn't calm down. This morning at school, my ex texted me again, begging me not to go to work tonight because her sister's friends were planning something. I asked her what she meant, but all she said was please don't go and that she loved me. I can't lie, I got a little scared, even if I didn't want to admit it. So I called my dad at work and told him everything. My parents came over to the school. But when I went into the office, police officers were there with my ex in the assistant principal's office. She was crying. One of the officers came out, and my dad handed him my phone. My mom took me home and gave me her phone while she went back to the school. I called my boss, and he said the cops would probably come by to talk to me, but told me to keep cool and call if I needed anything. Then Sam texted, "Hey, this is Sam. Are you okay? Your boss just called me." I called him and filled him in on what I knew, but honestly, at this point, I have no idea what's really happening and I'm just waiting for my parents to get home so I can find out. One thing I do know, Sam told me he absolutely needed to know what happened, and that I did the right thing by telling him. He said he owes me big time. But that doesn't make this easy. This isn't just your average high school drama. It feels like I set something off, and now I'm being swept up by a tornado with no idea where it's going to dump me. I have zero control. It's not easy, that's all I can say. For now, all I can do is wait and see where this goes. Update 3. It's been a long week, so much has happened, yet it feels like nothing has moved forward at all. My dad ended up handing my phone over to the cops because my ex completely denied texting me the warning. The police needed a warrant for her phone but settled for mine. They also listened to the threatening voicemails and texts from the guy who showed up at my job looking for me. Things escalated so quickly my dad called the school, and the school in turn called the cops. Then, as if things weren't tense enough, my ex's dad arrived and my dad directly confronted him about coming to find me at work. He lied flat out, claiming he was looking for my boss instead, which is total nonsense. The cops saw through it and ordered him to stay away from me. 2 officers even came by my house to talk with me face to face. I could tell they were honestly shocked that everything spiraled from some girl cheating on her boyfriend. They handed me their business cards with their cell numbers, telling me to contact them if things ever got out of hand again. Eventually, my ex came clean. She admitted her sister's friends were planning to show up at the coffee shop to jump me. They apparently even bragged about how many bones they wanted to break. I overheard my parents whispering about her. My mom said her dad tried to shut her up, and she's really worried about how things are for her at home. The following Friday, the cops checked in with my boss after speaking to me. They told him to call immediately if anything weird happened. Of course, something did. The very guy who cheated with his sister was parked out back with some older man. My boss spotted them and, just to make it more dramatic, they flashed a baseball bat at him. He got their license plates and called the cops, but they were long gone by the time the police arrived. At this point, I'm almost certain I'm going to have to quit my job. My parents don't want me anywhere near this mess anymore. For now, either my mom or dad drives me to work, and my boss insists on taking me home since I used to walk. All week, my ex has been blowing up my phone, begging to talk. By Wednesday, I finally agreed to meet her before her softball practice. But as soon as I got there, I saw those same two guys parked right across the street. The second they saw me, they jumped out and chased me. But I run cross country, no way they were catching me. Then last night at work, my dad called. He told me the cops had come by the house, both of the men were arrested. Multiple charges holding stolen property, among other things. The police said their criminal problems are so serious, they probably won't see daylight for a long time. My ex kept messaging afterward, swearing she had no idea those guys would be there and didn't know how they knew where I'd be. I don't buy it. Honestly, I've never been this stressed out in my life. I've been scared and tried not to show it, especially to my parents. I keep telling myself I made the right decision by telling Sam about everything, even if it brought on way more trouble than I was ready for. Sam saw the video, and my boss said he just broke down, but he's made it clear, there's no way he's ever taking her back. He's moving to Utah, transferring to his dad's trucking company. He even told my boss his ex is threatening to follow him and camp out until he forgives her. As a gesture, I asked my boss what his favorite drink was. Jack Daniels, he said. So I found a way to get him a bottle. I won't say how, but let's just say I have connections. That's about all for now. This is just non-stop drama told us. Update. 4. I really thought once those two guys got picked up it would finally slow down. Nope. Monday morning before first period, the SRO pulled me out of class and said a detective wanted 5 minutes. He had my dad meet us in the conference room. The detective started by asking me to verify the voicemails were from the same guy who came into the shop. I said yes. Then he slid over a typed report and said he couldn't give me a copy while things are open, but he wanted me to know why they'd been calling my boss so much. When they arrested those two, they pulled messages and a notes app list out of the younger guy's phone. My full name, the coffee shop address, my hours, and after school by softball fields were in it. Next to it was a contact saved under just a first name initial and 2 heart emojis. He wouldn't confirm who it was because he can't, but he said the plan in those messages was literally roll up and scare him so he keeps his mouth shut. He asked me if I wanted to do a formal victim impact statement and told me I'm going to get a subpoena to testify if it gets that far. He also said if anyone at all tried to contact me even just to talk to call him directly, not 911, and he'd handle it. That's when it hit me that this stopped being teenage drama a while ago. The same day, my boss texted me to come in early because he wanted to talk. I walk in and there's a brand new deadbolt on the back door, a camera moved to face the alley, and he'd printed a sign for the front that said no loitering with the police department's non-emergency number right under it. He took me into the office and handed me a manila envelope. Inside was a no trespass letter he'd filed on my ex's dad, a copy signed by the city. He sets one foot in here again and they'll escort him out in cuffs, he said. Then he looked at me and said, I know your folks are nervous. If you want to quit, I'll write you anything you need for your next job. If you want to stay, I've got you. I told him I wanted to finish the week and then decide. That afternoon Sam walked in. I didn't even know he was back in town, I thought he already left for Utah. He asked if he could talk to me in the office. He didn't look mad, more like he hadn't slept. He put a small paper bag on the desk and told me not to argue. For your shoes or a race fee or whatever, he said. I tried to hand it back and he pushed it back and laughed without smiling. You did more for me than most people who call me family. Let me do this. He also told me he went with my boss on Sunday to pull the clip and that seeing it made something in him just go quiet. I'm done being talked out of what I saw, he said. He's leaving Friday. He said if I ever need work in the summer, his dad will give me something in Utah that pays better than minimum wage and I can live in their spare room. It felt weird but also like a real offer from somebody who actually means it. I wish that was the end of the day. At close we're counting the drawer and a delivery guy shows up with a big stupid flower arrangement, white lilies and those glitter branches addressed to me, at the shop. No card with a name, just I'm sorry. Can we please talk tonight? Please. My boss made a face, pulled the florist's copy and called the shop number on it. It was paid for in cash. He stuck the bouquet in the walk-in like it was perishable evidence and told me to go out the front when I left and he'd pull the car up. We stepped outside and right then a sedan across the street flicked its headlights twice. It was too dark to see who was inside. My boss just goes, back in, and we stayed until one of the officers the detective sent did a drive-by, then I went out with him behind me. I got home and my mom locked the door twice even though that doesn't do anything except make her feel better. Wednesday, my ex asked me to meet her in the library after school, no phones. I told the detective and he said fine, but to meet right by the desk where the librarian sits, not in a study room. She showed up puffy-eyed and just sat down and stared at me like I was a ghost. First thing out of her mouth was, "I'm sorry." Then it all came spilling out. She said she saw messages on her sister's iPad between her and one of the girls from her softball team that basically match what the detective described talking about when I was at work and when practice ended because her sister left it open. She said her dad told her to shut up about it because boys handle boys, which made me want to smash something. Then she said something that honestly made my hand shake. Her sister had left an envelope at the shop with money and the "please stop" note. I hadn't told her about the flowers and she told me about the envelope. 2 different drop-offs in one day. I asked her straight out if her sister sent guys after me. She wouldn't say the words, but she didn't deny it either. She just kept saying I wasn't supposed to get hurt and that no one listens to her in her house. We sat there with the librarian stamping returns like nothing was wrong and my ex just crying into her sleeves. Tonight was supposed to be my last shift before a break, but I didn't make it that far without another weird thing. Around 7, a woman in navy scrubs came in and ordered a latte and asked if she could talk to the manager. She looked like she'd just come off a long shift. When my boss stepped over, she asked if he was the one who made Sam see the truth. We both got careful. She said she was Anna's coworker and that Anna had been telling people the video was some AI fake someone made to ruin her wedding. Then she told us Anna didn't come into work yesterday and that HR was about to write her up because she'd already been on thin ice for calling out. She looked at me and said, "I don't know what's going on here, but I hope you've got people watching your back." It was such a weird, sad thing to hear from someone who doesn't know any of us but sees it from the outside. I made her drink on the house and she tipped like half her wallet and left. The detective called again right before close. He said the younger guy took a plea on the stolen stuff and they're stacking an intimidation count because of the bad in the messages. He also told me, and this is his exact phrase, "There's chatter about a defamation angle," which I guess means someone called a lawyer. He said no one can sue me for telling the truth about something I saw at my job to the person who needed to know, and that truth is an absolute defense. Then he told me I may be subpoenaed to bring the actual video custodian with us, which means my boss, if it comes to a hearing. My boss just said, "Tell me when and I'll put on a tie." When I got home, there was a minivan I didn't recognize at the curb. My mom opened the door before I could put the key in and said, "We have guests." My ex's mom and little brother were on our couch. She stood up and started apologizing before I even sat down. She said she's sorry for her husband showing up at my work, for the messages, for everything she didn't stop. She asked my parents if we could all just have one quiet conversation so the adults could figure out how to make this stop. She was shaking. My mom made tea, because that's what she does when she doesn't know what else to do. My ex's mom said Anna is staying at her friend's place and that everything in their house is just yelling. She looked at me and said, "I don't expect you to forgive any of it. I just need you to know not everyone in our family agrees with what's been happening." Then she slid her phone across the coffee table and there was a message from an unknown number telling her, "Tell your girl to control her little boyfriend or I will." It was from last week. My dad took a picture of it and sent it to the detective. My ex's mom stood up and hugged my mom and left with her son without asking for anything else. It was the first time any of this felt like grown-ups were being actual adults. I told my boss I'm taking a week off. He said good. Sam's leaving in 2 days and said he'll swing by once more before he goes, just to say bye. My coach told me I can keep running with the team but if I see a car parked twice, to go back to the building and call him, which made me laugh because I've never seen our coach mad and now I kind of want whoever's been cruising by to meet him. I keep thinking about the bouquet sitting in our walk-in next to a giant tub of cold brew concentrate. I keep thinking about that stupid note and the scribbled schedule in a stranger's notes app and the way Sam looked when he set the bag down and told me to stop arguing and let him say thank you. I also keep thinking about my ex in the library telling me nobody in her house listens to her. I don't know what the next thing is, but a week where I don't have to make anyone a latte and no one tries to catch me outside of a coffee shop sounds like heaven. I'm tired, man. I just want this to be over. Update 5. I really thought a week off would just mean sleeping in and running when the sun was out. Day 2, the doorbell rang and a guy in a windbreaker asked for me by my full name and then handed my dad a thick envelope like something out of TV. I opened it at the kitchen table and it was a letter from a law office with way too many Latin words for a normal person: cease and desist, defamatory statements, harm to reputation, demand for retraction. It had Anna's name on it. My dad read it twice, didn't say anything, took a picture and texted the detective. Then he called a number the victim advocate gave him and by dinner we were on speaker with some clinic attorney who sounded like she'd gelled at bigger people than us. She said, "This is posturing. Don't respond. Don't post. You told the person directly affected what you saw, and there's corroboration. Keep everything, forward me the PDF, and if they actually file, we'll answer. My mom put the letter back in the envelope with a piece of masking tape like we were preserving a fossil and set it with the stuff for the case. That was the first hour of my break. Sam came by the next day. He didn't text first, he just walked in like he didn't know what else to do with himself, and my mom called me out from my room. He hugged me the way guys who don't really hug one arm, back pat, step away fast. He'd cut his hair like he was shedding his skin. He said his U-Haul was already packed and his dad was waiting in the driveway and he just wanted to look me in the face and say thank you before he left town for good. Then he handed me an actual running store gift card in one of those cheap holders that says congrats grad even though I'm not graduating yet. Spikes, trainers, whatever, he said. Or spend it on milkshakes. I don't care. Just take something from me that isn't more drama. He told me Anna showed up outside his mom's job on Monday and his uncle walked her back to her car and told her they'd call the police if she didn't leave. He changed his number. He said if I ever want out for the summer, the offer in Utah is there, not a joke. Then we stood at my front door for a second with both of us not good at words and he slapped my shoulder and walked down the steps and that was it. Watching the truck pull away felt like closing a book and also like someone dropping a brick on my chest. The subpoena came Thursday. It wasn't dramatic, just a white paper with my name and the county seal and a date for a preliminary hearing on the intimidation charge. My boss texted me a photo of his too, with guess we're getting fancy and a tie emoji he probably had to scroll a long time to find. The detective called and told me where to go, what to wear, and that I could bring my dad. He said I'd only be on the stand for a minute to ID the voicemail and say how I know who I know. He also said the IDA is going to ask for a no-contact order that covers me, my house, my school, and my job. Court did not look like TV. It was smaller, colder, with that carpet that makes everything sound muffled. The younger guy was in a shirt ironed too hard and the older one wore a sweater like someone told him it made him look gentle. When they called my name my legs forgot how to walk for a second. I raised my right hand and my voice came out 2 sizes too small and the judge asked me to speak up and then I did and it was fine. The prosecutor played 5 seconds of the voicemail where he says he'll come see me at work personally and the courtroom got so quiet I could hear the air vent humming. The defense guy tried to make it like boys being dumb and the older one leaned back and rolled his eyes and the bailiff said sir, without even looking away from the door. The judge didn't smile once. He told them there will be no contact directly or through third parties, that means nobody's girlfriend or cousin, and if either of them even parks on my block, they go to jail until their next date. When I stepped down I couldn't feel my hands. My dad squeezed my shoulder and didn't say anything and that helped more than a speech would've. In the hallway, my ex's dad was there with his jaw set, like he came to fight air. He took 2 steps like he was going to say something at me and the detective was just suddenly at my side, a hand up between us like a stop sign. He's with me, he said. My ex's mom was behind him, grabbing her husband's sleeve with both hands like she was pulling a horse back into a gate. Nobody yelled. We just left. I don't know why that moment scared me as much as it did, but it did. On the way home my boss called and said, you picked a great week to be off, you'll love this. He'd come in that morning to find an unmarked envelope slid under the back door. Inside was cash folded around a note that just said, be done. There was a thumbprint on the back in some kind of makeup like someone with self-tanner or foundation had handled it. He didn't even open it with his hands, he stuck it straight in a gallon Ziploc and called the detective who came and bagged it like on TV for a reel. They pulled the outside camera from the alley and got half a plate in the back end of a silver crossover and a person in a hoodie doing that walk where you're trying both to hurry and to look casual. The detective texted later that day, it's a rental. Paperwork pending. My boss texted me a picture of the empty space where the bouquet used to be in the walk-in and just wrote evidence fridge is cleared. Friday afternoon the school pulled me and my parents, my ex and her mom, the SRO and the app into one of those conference rooms with a dry erase board nobody uses. It was awkward in the way anything with a table and tissue box in the middle is awkward. The app slid a safety plan across to us like we were negotiating a peace treaty. Different passing periods if we needed, change of route to practice, no contact letter between me and my ex on file even though we weren't talking anyway, coaches looped in, our SRO point of contact for anything weird on campus grounds. My ex looked smaller than I've ever seen her. She kept her eyes on her hands and when the app asked if she had any questions her mouth opened but nothing came out. When it was over the SRO walked us out and said, you run, right? If anyone makes you feel box in, go back inside. Don't try to be brave in a parking lot. He said it like he said it to a lot of kids. I thought that was going to be the last weird adult thing for a while. Saturday I went over to the shop for my check because my boss told me he'd be in the back and we could keep it low key. We were standing by the espresso machine while he wrote reference letter at the top of a page like a dad trying to be fancy when the bell on the door went and the florist from the bouquet came in like she was on a mission. She pointed at me and said, "Were you the one the lilies were for?" My boss stepped up next to me in full manager mode and said, "Why?" She said a girl had been into her store that morning trying to demand the arrangement back, then got mad when she was told that's not how it works, then asked if there were cameras because she needed to prove something. When the florist said yes, the girl left. My boss gave the florist the detective's card and bought a tulip for the tip jar because that's the kind of nonsense that lives in his heart. Saturday night I put my phone face down, told myself I was going to actually sleep, then of course it buzzed. It was an email from an address with my name spelled wrong in it and a single line, "Meet me at St. Mark's Lot, no cops, I'll explain." I don't even go to that church. I forwarded it to the detective and didn't answer. He called 2 minutes later and said, "Thank you for not answering that, and then, there will be a patrol swing by there on the hour tonight anyway." I went downstairs and ate cereal on the couch in the dark and my dog put his head on my knee like he could smell the adrenaline through my skin. This morning I ran with the team for the first time in forever and for 20 minutes my brain felt like it belonged to me again. When we looped back to the school my coach was in the lot with his coffee and he had 2 extra guys with him, assistant football coaches I only ever see yelling about hand placement. He didn't make a big deal of it, just said, "Good pace, Gomez," to a kid who isn't me, and then when he got to me he said, "Check in with me before you head out," like it was the most normal thing in the world that our track coach is also now our security checkpoint. On the way home, my dad said, after court in this week, "Do you still want to go back to the shop?" And I heard myself say, "I think I need to be done." I texted my boss and he wrote back in, like, 3 seconds, "Proud of you. Doors always open. Come by Monday for your last envelope and a regular you can actually drink hot." There was one more message waiting when we got back. It was a photo from a 385 area code I didn't have saved. Mountains blown out blue and a truck mirror catching the sun and a thumbs up with a scab on the knuckle. "Made it," the text said. No name. Didn't need one. I wish I could say that was the last thing, period, credits roll, but this whole mess has been like trying to walk off a sandbar without knowing where the drop-off is. The detective said the rental plate came back and they're getting footage from the lot. He said if another letter shows up, send it, don't touch it, let the adults keep doing the adult things. I cleaned out my locker at work and stood there in the back hallway with the new deadbolt and the moved camera, and for the first time in weeks I didn't feel watched. I handed my key back and my boss put it on the hook like a little ceremony and said, "Go run, kid." I did. I ran until my lungs burned and my calves felt like they were going to give out, and for almost a whole hour nobody tried to make me pick sides or tell me I was crazy or send me lilies with glitter branches.